back to 6-4 more. We are winding down the session, taking a little break from Budget Conference Committee. Real exciting stuff over there in Budget Conference Committee. But we got a real good guest with us today. What are your thoughts on this deal, Jeff?
I really like Sherri. We were actually in the Party Cove last year, me, Dave, and Sherri, and we all became really good friends. And this year we've kind of drifted apart to different parts of the building, but we still consider Sherri one of our closest friends. So one thing I want to talk to you today about is committees. We have a special award for Davy today, and we have someone here to present that to him.
Yes.
Hello. I just thought I would stop and drop off this
You gotta
special.
make sure you're in the camera, hon. Are you?
Let's
No, right
go
there,
just a
camera.
little
You guys scoot
this,
over here.
this way?
Yeah, right
Okay.
there.
There you go.
Well, this is a special appreciation for our chairman, and it's honoring Davy Hinman.
We didn't know his name was Davy either.
No, we
so.
just found out today, but it's for Committee on Local Government, and I just wanted to thank him for not killing all of my bills this session, and wanted to present this little certificate to him.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Davy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations, Davy.
You have no idea how much I appreciate this, and will certainly repay the favor for that. Although sometimes on this show I'm not real good with names, I do know that I have never been called Davy, but I do appreciate the award, and thank you very much. Today, as Jeff had said, a good friend of ours from the old 201 Party Cove era, Sherri Gallic. Thank you very much for joining us.
And emerging issues.
And emerging
Oh, yes,
issues.
emerging.
Yes.
Oh, that was
Great
a nightmare.
We spent a lot of time together.
It was a great time. So if you've seen our show before, we have 6 items back here on the wall. 4 of those items are truths, and 2 of them are non-truths, as our last guest said. So if you would like to read off the sheets up there,
I can
let
do
us
that.
know.
I can do that. I have a miter saw and a compression tank with a nail gun. My first real job was working as a lifeguard. I started a Christian singles group. I was the lead in my high school musical. I met Hall of Fame NFL football players in the airport on 2 different business trip occasions. And I was engaged for 2 years to someone, but I did not marry him.
Well, when I read the Christian singles, I kind of looked at the musical one. Is it a Christian musical?
It could be.
Group?
It could be.
I could see you doing that. I
Okay.
could see
So
you
we're
doing
not
that.
really for sure about
Like
the guy.
Glee. Like Glee, yeah.
The guy that you were engaged to for 2 years, were you just not sure? Or was he an NFL football player? Or?
He was not an NFL football player. I was very sure in the beginning, but there were issues that came to the forefront, and it made me realize that was not the path I wanted to choose.
Very good.
Well, in doing your background information research, it came up that before this job you were a food executive.
I was.
Can you explain a little bit more about what you did in that position and where you were?
I worked for several food companies. For the longest time, I worked for Jimmy Dean Foods. I managed a sales staff, and I did budgets. I did strategic planning. Also, when I worked for the Sara Lee, which Sara Lee owned Jimmy Dean, I ran a marketing department at one time. So I did everything from concept to shelf in planning products. And actually, one time, I did get new products on the shelf. I partnered with Taco Bell, and the Taco Bell refried beans that were on the shelf, that was because of me.
Very
So,
good. Excellent.
Very good.
so yeah.
I've done a lot of research on Sara Lee and Jimmy Dean, believe it or
There you
not.
go.
I mean, you could probably tell by the way
There you
I look.
more Sara Lee than Jimmy Dean.
And Jimmy Dean is well known up here
Yes.
in the state legislature, so.
Big Bad John. If you've heard the song Big Bad John.
All right, so we're going to move up there. We
Okay.
have written down the ones that we think were not true.
Okay.
So if you would like to go left to right and explain each one of those.
I have a miter saw and a compression tank with a nail gun.
And I know this is true because I have been to her house and she's basically redone her whole basement. by herself?
I did do a lot of woodworking, and people say, how did you know how to do that, or how did you learn? And during COVID, I thought, you know what? If I mess it up, I call somebody and they fix it. So, and honestly, on home repairs, nobody cares about your home like you. So,
Very true.
my first real job was working as a lifeguard. I will say that I was a sun goddess, and I have paid for that with a lot of dermatology stuff lately, but I was not a lifeguard. But that
I
was,
got that
that
right.
was,
Is my name on there?
Yeah.
You and
Oh, that's what I thought it was.
that was a coveted job, and I really would like to have done that, but I did not. I worked at A&P because I made really good money because you were in the union, and I could work 1 day a week and make as much as my friends. So I started a Christian singles group. That actually is true. When I moved back to the Kansas City area from Tennessee the first time, I was single for a long time and was tired of dating people that didn't have the same beliefs that I had and were on the same plane as I. So I went to church one day and asked the administrator if they had a singles group, and before I left, I was starting it. I set it up like a business. It still is going strong. It's in Kansas City. It's called the Singles of Nativity, or SUN. I set it up to Bible study. We had a softball team. We had a sharing group that if there were men that wanted to help some women with some things around the house, or if somebody needed somebody to help them with a child or something. And then we had happy hours every month, and honestly, being Catholic, we had happy hours every month at a different food, beverage establishment, bar, grill. We brought a cake, and then we met a lot of people, and that's honestly how it grew. So.
Before you go on, I would like to point out that after 3 questions, Donnie is out. He was doing like the little dance earlier today. I'm winning.
I did get a bonus question. We'll have a bonus question.
Weren't you leading in
Oh
this?
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm way ahead.
And he let us all
Thank
know.
you.
Okay. I was the lead in my high school musical. That is true. I was Daisy Mae in Little Abner. I was asked to be the lead. I was in choir, and probably caused a little bit of issues when I was younger, and they came to me and said, "Can you sing?" I said, I can carry a tune. And they asked me if I would do that, and I did it. So I was Daisy Mae. I met Hall of Fame football players in the airport on business trips on 2 different occasions. Yes, Lynn Swan. I was sitting there just typing and waiting for the airplane. Lynn Swan came and sat down next to me and started talking to me and asked me what I was doing, and that was very nice. And people were like going, "Well, why is he talking to her?" On another occasion, I was in Las Vegas. I knew that this gentleman was a Hall of Fame football player because he had a bunch of rings on. It was Randy White from the Dallas Cowboys, which I had no idea who he was. But he asked me if I wanted to go get a drink, and I said, no, not really. And he said, so do you like football? I said, I love football. And he said, well, who's your team? He said, what do you think of Dallas? I said, who made them America's team? Well, everybody that's sitting around about fell out of their chair, so I assumed that he did play for Dallas at one point. And he asked me at that point, because I didn't live in Kansas City then, but I still owned Kansas City Chiefs football tickets, was still a fan because you guys know that I was a cheerleader. And he said, who's your team? And I said, Kansas City Chiefs. And then we started talking football. Then he did go get a drink because our plane was delayed. And all the people around me go, do you have any idea who you just insulted? So that is actually true. And I was engaged for 2 years to someone, but I did not marry him. That is false.
Let's go back just a little bit about you being a Chiefs cheerleader.
Yes.
And talk about that. How did you get that, or what made you decide to do that?
I was in high school. I have no idea what possessed me to just go try out. I heard it on the radio or in the paper and just went and did it, and I made
Got
it.
in.
So, yeah.
There he is. You want to get up and do a cheer now?
No,
or-
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
We want an offer.
No.
Excellent.
good.
Well, you mentioned you're Catholic, so one of the
I
things
am
we like to
Catholic.
talk about on here is family, and usually faith comes up with that also. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about your family and how important they are to you, because we know we've talked family a lot. So
Yeah, I am married. I have been married 24 years to my current husband. I was married briefly when I was younger, which I have a son. He is 37, and he will be getting married in January in the Dominican Republic. And today, the new pope was announced, and he is getting married in the Dominican Republic in the oldest Catholic church in the Americas. So,
that's awesome.
so yeah, but he is in Miami. He is an attorney. My husband is in the medical field. He works for Philips Corporation and does diagnostics for the heart. And I have another son. That was Randy's son. Actually, they're supposed to be having a baby today, but we have not heard yet. So they're supposed to induce her, so she is pregnant. And then also my son is engaged, and he is getting married in January. And Carla is an anesthesiologist. So,
Very good.
That's awesome.
so yeah.
Well, if that does happen today, we'd like to let everyone know.
There you
that
go.
Yeah, you-
I might be a
And
grandma.
you're-
First. So yeah,
Very good.
Excellent. We wish you the best on that.
yeah.
We talked about the Pope. We got a new Pope
We
in,
did
and
get a
I
new
know
Pope.
we don't have sports betting yet in Missouri, but I think it had pretty good odds for a Pope from the United States. So somebody probably won some good money on this one.
So yeah,
I was told
They
we'd never
probably
have
did.
a pope from.
I was told
state.
that too.
Yeah.
So,
Good to
Very
hear.
But who
exciting.
knows?
Very exciting.
Yeah.
so I'm just honored to be on your show. This is
Well,
my
we're honored.
favorite.
Yes.
This is my favorite podcast.
All right.
Well, we are honored to have you on here.
Yes.
So, and
thank you for-
I will say also, I am on a group chat that we have with these three gentlemen, and it's quite entertaining sometimes.
Yes.
You know, one great thing about you, Sherri, is we never have to wonder what you're thinking. You're brutally honest, and you keep us in line very well, and we appreciate you for that.
We do.
Well,
We do, and I've got one problem though today. I've got a point of order. And
Okay.
do you rule on point of orders, Jeff?
I
or-
can.
Well, you know, since we found out this late breaking information that it's Davy. And if he puts Dave up there, does that count as his votes count?
That's a good buy. Your point of order is well taken.
Good.
I think it counts.
So am I still in the lead, or are you in the lead now?
Well, I think I got them both right today, so I think we're probably tied, and then Davey
He's
is
out.
way loud.
Okay.
Well, if I had the gavel, I would adjourn this meeting.
But we will.
And we will on that. Sherri, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. We
Thank you.
appreciate you making the time.
Thank
This
you.
is the best podcast out there in the capital.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next meeting. We'll see you next week.